What are the components of a RAG agent, you may be asking? Save this video for later. Of course, you will have your agent in the middle, right? So this is your agent, and you have all your documents, your PDFs, you have code, etc. So you want your agent to be able to read all of that, but he can't because you need to convert them into something readable for the engine. How do we do that? We do that by something called, okay, we go through this process, the chunking technique. And what it does is that it's gonna take all your documents and text and it's gonna transform all of them into small chunks. And this is called the chunk size. So the chunk size is gonna affect your agent accuracy. However, bigger chunk size also implies that it's gonna consume more storage capacity. So you have to engineer your way through this. Now, we have our chunks. Can the agent read our chunks? No, it can't, because we still need to do something with the chunks. We need to get the embedding vectors. What is that? So basically, OpenAI, Anthropic, any LLM provider is gonna also offer you some embedding models. Those embedding models are like the big LLMs, okay, this is a brain, are like the big LLMs, this is an embedding model, but they are specialized into outputting the embedding vector. So the embedding model, it's gonna take your chunks and with them it's gonna produce embeddings. Those embeddings are basically a 3D vector, or not 3D vector, it's a multi-dimensional vector that it's going to give us the semantic meaning of this chunk. Maybe the chunk, it's talking about poetry, but the chunk is talking about politics. And maybe this is the similarity distance between both semantic concepts. So we're gonna produce a lot of these ones, okay? We're gonna produce for each chunk a lot of embedding vectors, multidimensional, blah, 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 okay? A lot of these ones. Now, we have our embedding vectors. Can the AI read already our vectors? No, it can't. Now what we need to do is to take these vectors and put them into something called a vector store. Okay, VS, vector store or vector database, however you may call it. So now that we loaded all of our embedding vectors into our vector store, now the agent, through something called a tool, okay, this is a function, is gonna be able to query our multidimensional vectors and get the semantic meaning back. Okay, so maybe the agent based on a user query, maybe the user is asking for, hey, give me a poem, right? This is a query. So the agent, it's gonna take that, okay, Gonna take this, go here with the query, and the vector store, it's gonna search for the most similar vector of that query, and it's gonna output that into the agent, and this is called retrieval. Normally, we can choose how many retrievals we perform. That's K, okay? So, so we can retrieve, for example, 3 vectors, 3 chunks, okay? Because each embedding vector, each one of these embedding vectors correspond to a chunk, okay? So maybe this one to this one, and this one to this one, okay? So, not that our user asked for a poem, right? Where is the poem chunk? Here. So the agent, it's gonna query our vector store. The vector store, it's gonna take the embedding vector that is most similar to our query. It's gonna take the chunk and it's gonna go back and retrieve that to the agent. Maybe there are more chunks that talk about poetry. Maybe it's this one, and this one, and this one. Maybe also this one. But if we ask only for 3, we are only gonna get our top K chunks. Maybe it's this one, and this one. That's what the agent is gonna read. So the agent is gonna read that, and it's gonna think, right? And after that, it's gonna answer the query to the user. So this is basically how a rec agent works. It's not magic. We first need to have our documents, pass them through this chunking technique. We are gonna get all the chunks with our chunk size. Then we are gonna pass them through an embedding model. It could be OpenAI, Anthropic. This is gonna produce embedding vectors that then we have to load into a vector store that the agent is gonna use through a tool that it's gonna query to the vector store that is going to retrieve the top K chunks from our database, and it's gonna be answered to the agent. This agent, it's gonna read them, and based on the documents, it's gonna answer the query with more grounding. So that's basically a rec agent. I hope you liked it. See you soon, and let's stay connected.